name is Jess and this is Vox Populi. Today I'm honoured to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Count Dankula. How are you today?
I'm alright, how you doing?
I'm good. We were just talking about, before this, about how I actually came to know your existence.
We were talking about how I radicalised you as a young teenager. That's great. That's my aim. That's why I do YouTube.
Yeah, one of the first things that I remember learning about politics outside of just the general boring news, it is the Count Dankula trial, is you teaching your pug.
Yeah. It was weird. It was like, some people were saying like the Americans had Gamergate, Britain had Nazi Pug, and these were like the linchpins that kicked everything off. I mean, it's big-headed, but I don't think that's
true.
What it was.
I would say it's true.
Well, I think it was the migrants. I think it was them. I think they did a little bit more damage than me and my pug.
So, how have you been since then?
I've been all right. Yeah, it's like I actually tried to just go back to a regular life after it, but like everywhere I went to that I got a job with, I would just get fired because they were all phoning up going, "You have a Nazi working for you," and like all that type of stuff. So I would get sacked and continually. So I just went, I've got all this free time, I'll just bugger about on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then it just started for there, and it was actually Sargon boosting my channel that kind of got me there. But then I also did an interview with Alex Jones because, of course, I'm. You're not going to say no to that. My lawyer was like, "Don't do it, don't do it," and I was like, "But it's Alex fucking Jones, man. I want to talk to the funny gay frog man, that man." But yeah, and then from there it just exploded. So now I've got a recording studio in Glasgow. I've got several staff that work for me and everything, and we've got a whole big project creating Mad Lad videos, and also we're filming skits currently.
That must be crazy. I remember, was it the Supreme Court thing where you changed your like Twitter avatar and everyone was taking you seriously?
I was playing with that idea of bringing him back tonight. I don't know. Depends how the election goes. Because it's like Justice Dankula. Yeah. Well, so many Americans didn't know that there is no Justice Dankula and had to fucking Google it and all that. But yeah, I was thinking of bringing him back tonight, but it's going to be really awkward if Trump loses, and I'm just like, fuck, and then I'm having to like cope and seethe in character like the whole time. But I might bring him back if Trump wins.
If Trump wins,
I'll bring him back. Yeah.
So how have you felt with the political landscape? I would say you're one of the most, if not the funniest person in British politics.
Thank you. That's very much, man. Make me blush. But like,
do you think it's hard, especially with free speech being so under threat, to push the line in terms of comedy?
Yeah, especially when practically all of the comedy clubs are all co-opted by those like stupid idiot leftists that hate capitalism, where they walk about with their iPhone and their Starbucks and everything like that, with their clothes stitched together by Sri Lankan 7-year-olds. But like, those idiots unfortunately control all of the comedy places where you could get booked for shows. And even if you get some place that's like, "Oh yeah, we can handle the woke mob, you can totally have your show here," and then on the day they get a bunch of emails and calls and threats sometimes, and then they back out and everything. So basically, even though Scotland's especially bad for it, because even though I'm from Scotland, I have played one show.
Really?
In Scotland. All of my shows have been down in London.
Yeah.
I've only ever done one show in Scotland.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And it was in the Hibernian Club, like in Edinburgh. That's where my first show was. No offence to them, it was a nice venue. It was good. But everyone was in their 60s.
How do you find speaking to people? Like, what is the audience like? Because I assume it's people like me, a lot of people my age. Like, if I say I'm interviewing Count Dankula, they're like, "Whoa, no way!" Like, it literally did change the generation, especially the ones who were drawn to like Leafy is Here, if you know who that was back in the day. Like that anti-SJW kind of content. I think there is a generation who loves that kind of thing. So, what would you say the audience is like that? Is it just normal people?
I think what's happening, because basically with every generation, like, politics just kind of reverses, right? Remember back in the day where you had your right-wing boomer teachers telling you couldn't dye your hair and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that and everything, and you hated them, and so as a result you rebelled. It happened in the 80s with punks, and then it happened again in the 2000s with like emo and scene kids and goths and all that type of stuff as well. But like, now it's getting a case of you've got the teachers with the piercings and the weird blue hair that are shouting at kids for liking the Bible and like being normal. And like, so that's basically, you're getting the opposite now, where in the past, wearing a suit and being all preened and feathered was gay and cringe. Now it's been seen as dyeing your hair and being an NB other kind fucking trans troglodyte or whatever is seen as gay and cringe. Like that's why like I always say, like, if there is hope, it lies with the Zoomers. The next generation are turning out to be extremely right wing, and it's because all the stupid idiots from back then have grown up. They've all got jobs in the universities and the schools and all that stuff as well, and everybody hates them.
Yeah.
Because they became the authority figures.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm at uni right now, and I know.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know a lot of other people who go to different unis, and they go around in a circle saying their pronouns. For example, you can't really criticize socialism, but they have all the time in the world to criticize capitalism, even when that's like nothing to do with the topic.
Yeah.
And I think people. Obviously, no one's saying it in class, and I don't think it's really a sign of cowardice. I think it's a sign of, university students not really caring. But I think that there must be this built-up audience of young people who are genuinely frustrated with the system and think it is kind of gay and cringe and retarded.
Yeah, well, the system's actively out to fuck them. Like, it is, like, basically, if you are a straight white male, then enjoy life. You've got the entire media and universities and your teachers and basically every authority figure, see where this is going, right, that you meet is going to hate you and not like you, right? But there are a lot of straight white men out there, and they're all going to grow up one day, and eventually they're going to occupy a lot of really high positions.
Do you think that is the future? Do you think we should be optimistic?
A straight white male future? God damn, I hope so. Kidding. I'll leave that. But like, I do see it changing. Like, politics as a pendulum, right? And it swung really, really hard. I think Gamergate was a little bit of a powder keg moment in it, but the thing that just really started the fire was Trump winning. And it was because Trump wasn't in the club, as I like to call it. Oh no, this is a guy we can't control. We had plans, we were going to go into Iran, we were going to do this, we were going to do that, and then this fucking guy came in and fucked it all up. Now he's going to release the UFO stuff like that. So they went into full panic mode, they pulled the strings with the media went into overkill. They turned the rhetoric up to 11, but the problem is now people are trying to kill Trump. They've tried now 3 times, I believe. Like, it's hard to keep track, right? And they've panicked, so they're like, oh no, and they're trying to turn it back down from 11, but it's too late now. And basically what's going to happen is people got sick of things. People are voting in right-wing governments all over the place. And the thing that I'm a little bit nervous about is the pendulum swung really, really far with the media frenzy and Gamergate. And I think when it swings back, holy shit. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit bad. Not for me. Straight white male, I'm fine. But, I'll feel awkward watching everyone else getting taken away. Oh, no, I liked him. One of the good ones. No, I'm kidding.
So we touched on America briefly. What do you make about the political system in the UK and the average working person's response to something like mass immigration, for example?
Yeah.
And the stamp down on freedom of speech after we saw the protests and the riots after the stabbing recently.
Yeah.
There was this massive crackdown on freedom of speech, the same with Tommy Robinson, for example. Well, what do you make of the current political landscape?
The government doesn't, the whole point of freedom of speech is the government doesn't like people pointing out the bad shit it's doing. So when you point out the Southport stabbings, the grooming gangs, all that type of stuff, they were all caused for, facilitated and paid for by the government.
Yeah.
Right, so whenever you point that out, people start to hate the government. The government doesn't like that, so it tries to suppress the speech. Right, that's what all free speech boils down to. Whenever governments come after it, they're like, hey, so you're making people not like us. And it's like, you're doing that yourself because you're all evil and need... Basically, that's just what it all boils down to. Right now, they're trying to use, oh, you don't like... You like free speech? You're one of those racist Nazi people, aren't you? And everything. They're trying to use like racism and all that stuff as like a foot in the door, so that no sensible person in the street would be supportive of racism. So let's just get rid of a fundamental basic human right and everything. Like it's a stupid sell. It's a stupid sell, but it's one that's worked sadly many times in the past. So they're trying to do it again, but I think it's having the opposite effect now. I think people are starting to get genuinely like fucking sick of it. And even though speech about it is being suppressed, it's still getting out there and spreading. But with the caveat of them also going, oh, by the way, the government tried to censor this. And everything. So it's making people angrier and I kind of like it when people get really angry.
I think they're right to be angry after everything. I expected after Starmer got into power, everything, the adults are back into the room and everything would just be quiet.
Yeah.
Or at least the media would try and depict it. But I think the past few months, it's been so hard for the media to depict it as like nothing is happening because people are rightfully angry.
Oh no, Starmer completely fucked it up. The first few months he went into the office. Oh, by the way, fuck old people. Fuck them and their heating. We hope they freeze to death in their homes. Also, by the way, we're going to release like dangerous criminals so that we can arrest 40-year-old mums for Facebook posts. Like that just right away just shows, okay, this is just going to be utter leftist authoritarianism the entire way. Unfortunately, they have a majority in the parliament, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want. And it's the Tories that are to blame for that. They just sucked. They were essentially just Labour, but driving the speed limit.
Yeah. What do you think of Kemi Badenoch, who's recently been elected as the new Conservative Party leader?
She's definitely been one of the Conservative Party leaders. I've nothing else to add to that. No, no comment.
Do you think there is hope in the British Conservative Party, or do you think?
No.
What about reform?
Reform. I hope it works out. Me and Nigel don't like each other very much.
Why?
You know, man. Oh, just personal beef.
Really?
Stuff that happened. Everyone thinks, oh, you don't like Nigel Farage, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. We know each other and don't like each other.
Can you discuss this?
Not really, but basically he fucked over UKIP because he spit the dummy out because things weren't going his way. That's all it was. We were on track to take seats. He decided to spit his dummy out and throw his toys out the pram and storm off and form his own party with blackjack and hookers like that, Whatever, that's it pretty much. So we have beef over that.
So what do you think the future is in the political landscape? Do you think it would be another party? Do you think, that the right people have to go into either Reform or the Conservative Party? How are we going to have this army of straight white men? How are they going to divide and conquer?
We are going to have a fall of Rome moment, and it's going to be extremely ugly. That is going to happen, and I think it will happen in my lifetime.
Can you elaborate on that?
People are going to get very, very fed up. Very fed up. And I will not elaborate further on that. I know you're desperate for me to, but I'm not gonna elaborate further on that, no. But there is going to be a really, really, really hard time. So, diesel generators, canned food.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
Yeah. I'm already stocked up. I'm fine.
Well, I think... Yeah, that's all we've got time for. My final question, which I've been asking everyone over the past few interviews, it's probably one of the most serious questions of our political time and political context and culture. Would you rather have a gay son or a thought daughter?
Well, we've already hashed this one out, and I did overhear like a good explanation, thought daughter, because at least that way she'll get pregnant a bunch of times and my genes will continue. I did overhear that. I never had an answer to the question, but after overhearing AA, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's a better answer.
Ah, okay.
I won't be proud of her. but
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for the interview. It's been great to speak to you.